This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Before the line moves, remember the sharp plays is already there. January isn't about volume, it's about precision. The NFL playoffs are when limits rise, mistakes shrink, and timing matters more than ever. You're not going to outsmart billion-dollar sportsbooks or full-time sharps on your own, but with the sharp plays, you don't have to. Powered by advanced AI, connected to proven insider sources, and locked in on the NFL postseason. Sharp Plays helps identify where the sharp money hits before the number disappears. You get free daily reports, real-time alerts, market-moving insights, all delivered straight to your inbox or X feed. And they've been backing it up with documented results, public logs, and transparent receipts all since 2011. SharpPlays.com, trusted by the pros, monitored by the books. Stay ahead of the line this postseason at SharpPlays.com. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you, live from downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino.
I have a text to read.
Okay.
So you and Adam Burke were trying to take shots at my outfit earlier.
I didn't say a word about your outfit.
I think that it looks great.
I think you're projecting.
I think it looks great. I like the pale colors every once in a while, you know.
I agree.
Brings it out.
If you recall, a
This is
few
your
weeks,
favorite coat
a few
that I
weeks
have?
back, I told you that was my favorite coat.
That I have, yep. Mostly dark colors that I own, but some blues. I like blues. Both my son and my wife just made positive comments about your thread, so don't let the haters bring you down. It's a text I received from Steve Cohen, our boss. So take that.
I would say that's a singular person that is a hater. Not haters, for one. And for two...
Are you telling our boss that he's wrong?
I think our boss might just be most happy that you're not Rocky today.
Yeah, my hoodie. As somebody who was the first person to ever violate that rule on the air, I can understand why there was...
It's actually pretty sad. We got a big hour on deck here. Lots of NBA. We'll hit on some college hoops. We got a little hockey as well as all of the NFL action and news for anyone who missed it. The big news of the day in the National Football League, Mike Tomlin stepping down as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We broke that down at length in the first hour, but of course this comes off of what has been now an 0-7 stretch, the last 7 postseason games for the Pittsburgh Steelers, yesterday's loss to the Houston Texans. And I did want to play some sound here real quickly that we didn't get to earlier, just about this defense and how well the Houston Texans played to ultimately put Tomlin into not retirement, but stepping away from the gig. Here is D'Amico Ryans on what he called one of the best defensive performances in their team's history.
Yeah, it was an outstanding defensive performance, one of the best that I've seen, especially versus a really talented offense, a talented quarterback who's, played at a high level for a long time. So I'm proud of our defensive performance. I think this is the best performance we've had in our team history. So I'm proud of our guys for that, to limit the points, to take the football away, not only just take it away, but to go score. You get 2 defensive touchdowns, that's a big deal. It doesn't happen much. And so I'm proud of our guys. Rankin played an outstanding game. Kalen was able to finish with the interception there at the end. But just overall, we knew we had to tackle well coming into this game. We knew we had to cover one of the better receivers in the league. And DK Metcalf knew we had to cover him well. Our corners owned up to that challenge, and they did a great job.
And you mentioned earlier, looking forward now to the divisional round, Houston is a 3-point dog to the New England Patriots coming up on Sunday. Big picture in the Super Bowl, as you looked at their path, you thought it could be favorable for them. They are the 6th on the board of the 8 teams remaining at plus 850 to win the Super Bowl. Could that be worth a look? Is that number enough for you to get on board with Houston?
Yeah, I mean, some spots I was looking last night, it was 8-1, 850. So, shop around, as we always kind of say, for them to do it. You could. I think the original disclaimer when you get into tournament settings like this, moneyline rollover parlay probably gives you a little bit more bang for your buck. Bet them again here, moneyline, then go to the next round. The best part about the moneyline rollover parlay, as we talk about ad nauseum in the NCAA tournament, is that you get to get off of it whenever you want. So, if CJ Stroud gets hurt, then you don't like their chances, then you can just stop betting, whatever. But if you look at this, we know that the offensive line for the Patriots has been a little bit of an issue. We brought that number up in terms of pressure rate allowed for Drake May. He's handled pressure well, as is Herbert. But we saw how pressure can derail an offense. We saw it with Herbert against Patriots. We saw it with Aaron Rodgers against the Texans just last night. We see it time and time again. And I think that this is the Texans front. I told this to Mitch on Pod to the Futures, which is out right now, wherever you get your podcast. I just have blind faith in this Texans defense at this point. Don't you? You have blind faith that they're going to give you what you need to be in position to win the game. Will you get enough from your offense is the question. But I don't think that there's going to be a matchup over the course of these next few weeks, if they're still alive, in which the Texans defense is going to get burned for 31 points and you need your team to keep up. I don't think that's going to happen. So now the question just becomes, all right, are there enough weak offenses for you to pick on as you move forward? The Patriots statistically are not a weak offense, but we did see them look the most disjointed they've had in a really long time this last week against the Chargers. So I have a point of evidence to say that at the very least, against a defense that has faced 8 top 10 scoring offenses to this point, that they're going to be in a little bit of a worse situation than the New England Patriots. The Buffalo Bills, should they move on, have nobody left at receiver. I mean, Gabe Davis is now injured and out, as we got the news yesterday. So that's going to be, I think, a favorable matchup. We don't have to go down the road of what Bo Nix has been in terms of his disjointed nature. I just think this sets up somewhat well for the Texans. I don't believe in their offense. And as we talked about earlier, I was wrong in declaring they weren't contenders. I was right in saying it was because their offense was absolute cheeks. We got proof of that yesterday. Yeah. But they're so good on defense that it's not going to matter. And I think that there's kind of this weird faith that I have in this defense. It's going to put them in position to win every game going forward.
As Adam Burke mentioned last segment too, keep tabs on the injury updates for Nico Collins dealing with the concussion. If they can get him back, if not this week, if they are fortunate enough to advance, what that looks like moving forward for them. Also with the Gabe Davis injury for the Bills, torn ACL against the Jags. Safety Jordan Poyer also going to be out in that matchup with the Broncos after injuring his hamstring. McDermott did give some updates, though, some positive ones on a couple other players, including defensive tackle Ed Oliver. His practice window will open. Wide receiver Curtis Samuel's window also opening, which could help kind of navigate some of those losses at the position. Josh Allen, meanwhile, he obviously was very banged up in that game, but nothing's going to hold that guy out. And he, despite all of the issues that he had, did not miss a snap the other day.
Can I interest you in a stupid bet?
Always.
Okay.
Do you look who you're talking to?
2,000-1 on Miami Fairbairn to win Super Bowl MVP.
Have you looked up when the last time a kicker won? When would that be?
Has it happened?
When would that be? So give the people the rationale, though.
I mean, it's exactly what we're talking about. No kicker has won Super Bowl MVP, I don't believe. That was the AI answer. We'll have to go back and look. Yeah, but so here's the whole point, right? If we're right, if you're a Texans believer and you think that they're going to make this run to the Super Bowl, they love, as Paul Howard has covered, we've talked about this, D'Amico Ryans loves to trot Fairbairn out at almost every opportunity. If there's an opportunity to hit a kick, he will put him out there. And let's say you take on the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, never. A kicker or a punter has never won.
So let's say you face the Seattle Seahawks. Can you not foresee a scenario in which we're looking at 9-3, 10-6, one of those games where you're trotting Fairbairn out there for 2 or 3 kicks? He's money almost every single time. You win an ugly, low-scoring game, and he's the only one responsible for any sort of points or a vast majority of the points you score in a single contest. At 2,001.
I just can't get there. And I love stupid bets, but I don't love impossible bets.
You'll be sitting there on 2001, and they're going to be at the Super Bowl, and he's going to be like 1,001. It's going to be better than that, but still. I brought this up to Mitch yesterday. And,
what did he say?
Oh, he was intrigued. I mean, I'm trying to see if, get some people on board with this.
I don't think I'm there. Apologies.
2001? What does Kevin from The Office say? If they give you 10,001, you have to take it.
$5? How much?
Well,
how much can you get?
It's funny. That's a great question because that's what Mitch's response was too. Which is like, how much are you going to put on?
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw a 10 down.
I'm not asking you to throw 1,000. Right, I'm not asking you to throw 1,000 on it.
Then we pull a dime. Come on.
I'm just saying, 2001.
I'll throw $10 on it. You want to do it? You want team play on Fairbairn?
All right, we have to make we'll have to make a show trip across the Hoover Dam, but yeah.
It's not even available anywhere. We can do it.
I can't find it.
Not unfun. One other injury update that we did have. There's been a lot of conversation around 49ers circles about Fred Warner and the potential for him to come back.
See the video of him?
Yeah.
Was that real?
Dude, he looks awesome.
Was that real?
I thought it was real.
Okay. Again, we always have to ask. For those who haven't seen it.
I get got on AI constantly.
Yeah. Saw a video of a cat playing the violin. And I was like, I don't think this can be real. There's a video out there of Fred Warner working out and, dropping back in coverage and do it. He looked pretty healthy.
Yeah. He said on the Ryan Russillo podcast, he's ready whenever the team is ready.
Okay.
He said, there's some T's that need to get crossed and I's that need to get dotted, but I feel good. I said, quote, I'm pushing, man. I'm training hard. I'm back doing full football drills and everything, so time will tell, but we got to pull off a win first. He's coming back from a dislocated ankle, by the way, that's cost him most of the season. 49ers are getting 7.5 in Seattle for the three-peat here. 49ers won game 1, week 1 of the season. Seattle, of course, won the week 18 matchup. Both very low-scoring affairs. Total here, 45.5.
This is worth noting because, it's just coming down on my Twitter feed right now, but Pierce all limited in practice today.
Okay, that's good.
So that's good. going to be big for them if that's going to be the case, if he can come back, and just any sort of reinforcement helps for you here. Look,
Especially with George Kittle unavailable, that's
Yeah.
like that much more important.
I think that I would be surprised if the Seahawks lost this game. I think 7.5. You've priced me out here. A couple of the spots that were briefly at that 6.5. I think I totally understand if you wanted to lay that, but laying 7.5. I'll sit back and see if I can get a better number throughout the week if maybe this starts to dip. But I do think that your 49ers are going to run into a brick wall here.
Cash the old SGT against the Eagles. Do we go back to the well?
It depends. Are you going to tease down the Seahawks or are you going to tease up your 49ers?
Same thing I did last time. You tease up the 49ers to give them double digits, and then you tease the total under. Mm-hmm. Come on. Live a little.
By the way, shouts out. Love it. Patrick Kelly, you can email us at moneymoves@vsin.com. He just sent a little bit of a screenshot. He's got Fairbairn 10,000 to 1 to win Super Bowl MVP.
Oh, look at that.
Come on now.
Where at? Can you
tell that was at draft. I think you put this in a little bit. Let's see. That was January 5th. So that was during the wild card round. Patrick, I'm with you, man. That's at 2001 too. I mean, I'm in. I'm going to make a little bit of a trip.
As we're kind of going down the injury lane here, we're going to shift gears into the NBA coming up next. And big news in the association with Anthony Davis, who is expected to undergo surgery for ligament damage in his left hand. Going to miss the next several months. He's missed the last couple of days, and they were trying to find out whether or not surgery would be needed. That apparently was the answer. So we will break that down, as well as a 7-game card coming up today. React a little bit to all of the dogs that were barking last night as well. Is that a trend that will continue? Plus a big one with OKC tonight. We'll be right back on Money Moves.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Big news in the association. Mavs star Anthony Davis expected to undergo surgery, has to repair ligament damage in his left hand, expected to miss several months. This news coming down from ESPN within the last hour. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you back here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. What was your initial thought when you saw it come down, JVT?
No, I mean, I guess not surprised. I thought the initial injury seemed somewhat, just the impact of it seemed somewhat innocuous, but then you get the reports afterwards that this was kind of coming down. And for what it's worth, Anthony Davis has since posted on social media to not believe everything that is being reported on the internet. So we'll see how that goes. A lot of the times you will see athletes try to fight off surgery as much as they possibly can, ultimately to be forced to do it. And I'm sure Anthony Davis is still trying to find some way to avoid that. So there's probably a little bit of truth there. What I think is actually the most interesting is the follow-up report from Shams Charania, who said that the Mavericks are having renewed Davis trade talks with multiple teams interested. If moved to a playoff contender, the return timeline could allow Davis to return during the postseason while establishing himself for the long term elsewhere. So in other words, if you're a team, do you buy dirt cheap from the Dallas Mavericks, get Anthony Davis, throw him on your roster, and then, oh, by the way, second round, we just have this all-NBA center defensively coming in to kind of help us out, coming off the bench or doing whatever.
Who's going to get hurt second game back?
I mean, maybe
but,
you're right. It's a fair criticism. But if the price is right, if you're not shipping off anything, I think it makes some sense that you would give it a shot to see what he's going to have here. So that to me is most interesting because when the injury first came down, the initial thought was, well, there goes the trade market. He's not going to get moved. The Mavericks going to try to get him healthy and then going into next year. But the fact that there are now some teams potentially trying to kind of almost, smelling blood in the water and saying, oh, he's hurt. We'll take him off your hands, but we're not going to give you what you want. I think that's going to be something that's going to be pretty fascinating. And it also just adds to the lore of what is the worst trade in NBA history for it to come to this. To ship off Luka Doncic, which I've had my criticisms of him. Again, I will reiterate, he's got no shot at winning MVP because of his issues defensively and the way that he handles himself. but he is still one of the most talented offensive players in the league. And for you to get back what you got and then having to buy what you did and then sell it for, is there a half a penny? For half a penny on the dollar is absolute insanity.
Half a penny. Well, we don't even make pennies anymore.
That's right. See?
So that's a whole other thing you can get into. The Mavs are 10-10 when AD has been in the lineup, 5-15 without him this year in the 20 games he played. 20.4 points per game, 11.1 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 1.7 blocks. So when he has been available, he has been good for them. Not in action today, but tomorrow we'll host the Denver Nuggets. You mentioned Luka, though, and the Lakers lose outright. Yeah. It's a big favorite again yesterday, and that was kind of a theme of the day for a lot of these big favorites coming up short.
Yeah, we had a big dog day yesterday. Lakers as 9-point favorites. They lose 124-112 as the end of that Steelers game was going on. This was up for me. I was watching it while we were recording last night, too. How about this? So you get outscored by 10 points in the minutes in which Luka Doncic was on the floor, despite the fact that he scores 42 points, has 7 rebounds, and 8 assists. Further proof to our cause, or my cause, and I'm wrapping you in on this, which is that he's not an MVP-type player. And this team's going to start to take more losses, folks. How about this statistic? The Lakers have lost 14 games this season, Stormy. 13 of those 14 games have been by at least 10 points.
Oof.
They have not been close in these losses.
So when they lose big. So if you think they're going to lose looking at a certain spread, just like...
I would say yes. And the other thing is their record is mostly inflated by an undefeated start in clutch games. To reiterate, clutch games are games within 5 points, 5 or fewer minutes left to go. They started, I believe it was 10-0 in those games. They lost one finally the other day. That is their one of the 14 losses that were not by 10 or more points. So this team clearly had some fraudulence to them. And Austin Reeves is hurt. You have Rich Paul now. I don't know if you saw this clip that was circling social media, but Rich Paul is now making fake trades for the Lakers, saying that you should trade Austin Reeves for Jaren Jackson Jr. And then you get J.J. Redick, who continues to be as cantankerous as ever. And yesterday, the Lakers had a poor shooting night, and this was Redick's analysis for the game.
No, it's literally we can't make a shot. I mean, you look at it, first of all, they're right there with us as being one of the worst shooting teams in the league. That's the highest, or tied for the highest with Houston, for the highest anybody's shot all season. So, that's typical. We're 28th before tonight in opponent 3-point percentage. We'll be 29th or 30th after tonight. Had 50 potential assists tonight. We converted on 21 of those. Expected score, we won by 24. This has been the theme. It has been the theme. So just got to keep shooting, I guess.
8 of 36 from 3 for the Lakers, 17 of 26 for the Kings.
Yeah, that's a massive chasm you have to make up, and that's exactly what happened. Look, there are some variants there, but at the end of the day, this team is not a talented defensive team. They have no true on-ball defender they would trust in any backcourt matchup. Wing players really don't have anybody. So this is going to be a group that's going to be looking to trade. You don't really have that much, and they are now 3-7 ATS in their last 10 games. So this has been a fall from grace that I think a lot of people are expecting, and it's starting to finally happen for the Lakers.
Second half of back-to-back today, hosting the Hawks, getting 3.5 at home, total 31.5. Injury report-wise, anything people should know?
Yeah, that's so when you're playing on the second leg of a back-to-back, you're talking about who's going to be available and who's not for the Lakers. We don't have the official injury report yet, so that's what you're going to look out for. LeBron, Luka are the two main names that you're going to look out for to see whether or not they're going to be out there. For the Hawks, though, if you look at the injury report for them, really relatively clean. You want to see if Luke Kennard is going to be available. He is questionable. Kristaps Porzingis is out. I know that our guy Zach Cohen, you can go up to the website, vsin.com, or listen to Harvard Handicappers, has a play in this game in terms of Onyeka Okongwu to check that out. I think the Hawks here will be live, and I think that's going to be a side worth playing later tonight against the Los Angeles Lakers, even with some of the injury report news there.
The Celtics aren't in action tonight. But there is some sound from the podium, Joe Mazzulla yesterday, that absolutely needs to be played. And if you would, can you kind of set the stage for the end-of-game situation yesterday against the Pacers?
Yeah, sure. Pacers, another one of these dogs, plus 175. We should note the other was the Utah Jazz, which we can get into here in a couple of minutes. But they win their third straight game. They beat the Jaylen Brownless Celtics at home in Indiana. But Pascal Siakam hits a game-winning floater off the glass. There's 6.1 seconds left. For those who didn't see it, Nembhard has the ball, trying to get a favorable matchup with Siakam versus Derek White. They ultimately get it. Siakam clearly sets an illegal screen to get that done, which ultimately leads to the game winner. And after the contest, Joe Mazzulla was asked what he saw on the play.
Joe, give yourselves a chance to win, I guess. Take us through the last couple of sessions.
Illegal screen.
What'd you say?
Illegal screen.
Illegal screen.
Illegal screen.
What fell apart to get? you guys behind, and then how were you able to get back?
Illegal screen.
What do you mean by that? What do you want people to know?
Illegal screen.
Would you like to say anything else?
Illegal screen.
Joe Mazzulla being Joe Mazzulla.
That was the money one, though. The last one. Is there anything else that you would like to say?
Yeah, legal screen.
Legal screen.
So
they have dropped 3 of their last 4 now with that loss to Indiana as well.
And it continues a beef, if you will, with the officials. If you remember a couple of days ago, and we got the news yesterday, Jaylen Brown got fined for his words after the Spurs game came out, called out an official by name and absolutely undressed them, if you will, with their fouls and the lack of consistency. And then you get last night, there's no argument. I mean, Siakam, I showed you the play. It's an illegal screen. He wasn't set at all, and it should have been called. But it was a missed call. Ultimately, it ends with a loss for the Boston Celtics. And as you've mentioned, they're one of the hottest teams for a while, but have started to slip a little bit here.
We'll get back to the NBA in the next segment, but I did want to bring, or at least address this, because we've hit a lot of injuries throughout the course of the last hour or so, and we had some big injury news in college basketball as well at the University of Kentucky. Mark Pope announcing yesterday point guard Jalen Lowe will have season-ending shoulder surgery on what has been an oft-injured shoulder for him. It is dislocated 3 times, started with the preseason scrimmage, and now, whether it's been a game or practice, re-aggravated it, redislocated it, missed 7 games, left Saturday's win over Mississippi State after just a couple minutes. Looks like the rehab after surgery will take about 6 months. Fortunately, I guess on the Kentucky side, he only played 9 games, so you can get the medical red shirt, get another year. He's not a guy that's probably going to be a big NBA guy, so get a couple million more, come back to Kentucky. But as far as what that means for this team right now, he's their only true point guard. So a Kentucky team that we have brought up a couple of times on the program for struggling, now missing what is supposed to be a key piece for them.
Yeah, I mean, this is just kind of Kentucky's been all over the place. They get that big win over St. John's on a neutral court, and they have a couple of games where you show up, you beat Indiana, you look like you're going to turn things around, and then SEC play starts. You go out there and put forth a pretty lackadaisical effort against Alabama. You lose at home to Missouri. I guess congratulations on beating Mississippi State. That's barely a fringe top 80 team by some rankings. So this has been a disappointing year, and the schedule's not going to get any easier in the SEC. You get to take on LSU on the road coming up next before you come back for another road trip against Tennessee. This team looks like it's going to be one of the biggest disappointments. We'll see. Maybe they can turn things around. By the time you get to it, you're going to be a pretty fascinating bubble team. But right now, it does not look like this is going to go well for Kentucky. And
I don't know if you've seen an update on Jaden Quaintance either, but he's a projected lottery pick. He's out, and I haven't seen when he's coming back. Missed 11 games at the start of the season, coming back from the torn ACL. Had some knee swelling recently. Missed that last game, and so that's just another layer. 10-6 on the year, 1-2 in SEC play, and as you mentioned, 2 tough road SEC games coming up. Reminder, as you were watching all of these games, you want to have some grub. In doing so, right now at omahasteaks.com/vsin, spend $129. You can score 2 pounds of fully cooked chicken wings plus 50% off site-wide. omahasteaks.com/vsin. That's omahasteaks.com/VSIN. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.
So in the break, I said to my good buddy Jonathan Von Tobel, wow, the New Orleans Pelicans are bad. And his response was, yeah, and they might win today.
Well, I mean, they're only 1.5-point dogs at home in an NBA game.
Yeah, but I mean, even without Jokic, I feel like the Nuggets are still winning games they shouldn't win.
Yes, they're 4-3 in their last 7 games since Jokic has been out. I mean, the problem is, while they're getting guys back here and there, Christian Brown's out tonight. Cameron Johnson's still out. You just mentioned Jokic is out. Jamal Murray is questionable, and Jonas Valanciunas is not playing.
Weren't all those people out against the Sixers too? Come on.
Yes, they're still, I understand it. But I think one of the things that should be pointed out about the New Orleans Pelicans, and Zach Cohen's done a great job on this and talking about them quite a bit. He's, I think, a Pelicans truther, if you will, and rightfully so. The Pelicans have been a relatively solid ATS team. In recent weeks, the market's kind of gotten out a little ahead of them in terms of how they have rated them. By my count right now, I believe that they are 2-9 ATS in their last 11 games or so. You can ballpark it. But either way, I do think that they're healthy enough and competent enough since former Hornets coach James Borrego took over at the helm that in a spot like this, it makes some sense at home against Denver to finally catch this team slipping a bit and maybe get them. So we'll see if that's the case. Again, it's 1.5 point spread with a total of 233.5. You could probably find an in-game opportunity relatively early on, maybe something a little bit more in New Orleans, but line opened up 3. We're down to 1.5. If Murray doesn't play, this probably closes Pelicans like a 1.5 point favorite.
Real quickly, we did just get some breaking news in the National Football League, albeit expected news, that the Philadelphia Eagles have parted ways, firing their offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo. The Eagles will now be on their 5th offensive coordinator in 5 years. Now, good to keep in mind with that. A couple of those guys have gone on to become head coaches elsewhere because
Maybe
they
3.
did such a good job, but
Maybe
this
3.
is not the case this time around.
You don't know that?
I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, we don't know that for sure.
Listen,
Maybe
I'm never going to make a declarative statement about football ever again.
If he becomes a high school head coach, does that count?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But, I mean, based on the way that this offense is operated and a lot of their – we've talked about this, especially the way that they closed out the game against the San Francisco 49ers. That was just like
What'd they do?
It very well encapsulated some of their problems. Running the same play.
There we go.
3 times on the same drive.
There we go.
With the same look.
I would say it's an interesting time to have an opening at offensive coordinator as well, because I think Mike McDaniel is going to be a pretty good offense coordinator and obviously is interviewed for a couple of jobs. He's going to be out there. You have Tobel, who's out there as an offensive mind that could potentially fill some holes as well. So there's some high-level offensive dudes that potentially could fill some roles here. And the Eagles, much like these other teams, the Lions, I feel like you're knocking down the door. Kingsbury, we could throw out there too, as an offensive mind, did a pretty good job at his time with Washington, especially in Jane Daniels' rookie year, that you're probably beating down the doors of some of these play callers and saying, man, if you don't have a head coaching job, you should probably come work for us. So I'll be curious to see if that trio, Kingsbury, McDaniel, and Tobel, where they eventually land, because I think those are 3 very coveted play callers.
And I know there were some questions as well about Matt LaFleur. Would he be on the chopping block as well? But at least in the early reports, it seems like they're trying to make a deal happen with him so that they can extend him and keep him there, because that was another hot name potentially, should he be let go, that could be available for others. Let's get back to the NBA, though, because we do have a big one in OKC.
Yeah.
It's a big spread once again against the Thunder, and yet every time these two have come head-to-head, it has been San Antonio on top. OKC laying 8.5 tonight at home, total 230.5. What do we do here?
I mean, you lay 6.5 when it opened. That's what you do, and that's we're up to 8.5. I don't disagree at all if those who wanted to go out there and jumped on that opening number here. That, again, is the lowest point where this series has been. And you do have to wonder if at some point the Thunder, first off, from a preparation standpoint for OKC, you know damn well this team has been sitting back and going, we cannot lose a 4th straight game to this freaking team. It just can't happen. You know they're going to take this really seriously. They're coming off of an off day. They've been at home. So situationally, given the 3 losses, given the fact that they're in the midst of a mini homestand, the fact that they're coming in off of a day of rest while being at home, don't you think that doesn't it scream that this is the situation, the spot that OKC would come out with their best effort and not only get this win, but cover and maybe even try to blow the doors off this team?
I don't know. I thought that on Christmas.
It's very true.
Where
Look,
I laid, I believe, 8.5.
And let's be fair, because we should talk about this matchup. The reason why this has worked so well for the San Antonio Spurs is that they are a team. It's funny, coming into the year, we talked about this in the Harvard Handicappers group chat, and this has been part of the analysis for some as well, which is coming into the year, you thought, the Spurs have maybe 1 or 2 many ball handlers, just too many guys. Who's going to have the ball in their hands? Who's going to run this offense? Who's going to actually move around with this ball? And instead, in a matchup like this, it's worked really well, Stormy, because one of the things that the Thunder do so well is you got a whole bunch of ball pressure guards who can sit there and force turnovers and jump into passing lanes and defend. Well, when you've got a bunch of dudes who can handle the ball, kind of negates the pressure that you face in the backcourt that the Thunder can throw at you. And so it's worked out well from a matchup standpoint that it's just something that is working out for Oklahoma City. We should note a couple of injuries here. Lou Dort is questionable to play. So for a team that can't really shoot particularly well, the fact that Dort might not be available is going to hurt you a little bit. And Isaiah Hartenstein continues to be out here for this team, which does leave you somewhat undersized a bit. The bigger Jalen Williams is not on the injury report today, so that's going to help. You'll have Holmgren and him to be out there to kind of fill you up at center. But look, situationally, it's hard not to look at OKC here. But the market has factored this in. We are back to that 8.5 point mark, which I believe was around the number we had at Christmas time.
That's exactly what I laid.
So, and that got bet up.
Yep,
and that was in OKC.
I got both my heart and my bankroll crushed.
So if you're one that believes in these sort of things, especially if Lou Dort ends up playing here, wouldn't be surprised if we close like 9. And situationally, I will say outright, I do think it's the Thunder. But I'd much rather be in the position that many were where you laid 6.5 at the open as opposed to this 8.5.
Yeah, total 229, 230.5, depending on where you look right now. You've mentioned a couple times the Hardwood Handicappers podcast and our guy Zach Cohen. We have had the conversation a lot on this program about Keontae George, about how he should be the favorite for most improved player when it comes to the NBA odds board. Here is Zach Cohen on the Hardwood Handicappers pod discussing just that.
It's still available at 12-1. I really don't know how. I really think this is the guy that is going to end up winning this award. I know Denny Avdia is the odds-on favorite right now. Avdia is actually injured with a sore back at the moment. I wonder how much time he'll miss with that. But I do think that this is going to end up being George's award. And I'm not just saying that because I have to play. I think that this is a guy that last year was an unproductive role player. Everything about him was kind of down, heading into this season.
He's right. I mean, Keontae George has turned things around. Last year, just the counting stats, 16.8 points per game to 24.1, 3.8 rebounds to 4.3, 5.6 assists to about 7. He's gone from shooting 39% from the floor to shooting 45% and 37% from 3. His ball handling has improved. He is right now everything you would look for in a most improved player. His game has just improved. It's not just the counting stats. And only 5 point guards have more 30-point games than Keontae George this season so far, shooting 71% at the rim for a guard. That's insane. So I would agree. And again, 12-1, still out there.
Yeah, when you told me to bet it, I got 14-1. 12-1 out there at FanDuel right now. It's 10-1 at DraftKings if that's what's available to you. What's the disconnect, though? Why is the market not playing ball, I guess, so to speak, with a belief, considering what he's done? I don't really think it's a secret. Or maybe you have impacted my algorithm, but I feel like I'm seeing highlights from him pretty often.
No, I think part of it is, look, again, we will reiterate, these awards markets just don't really know. I would say that 1,000 times over. I will bring up the example for most improved that I think I've brought up before. The year that Julius Randle won most improved player, he was 22-1 at one point, and Jeremy Grant was minus 550. So these markets don't really have any idea of how you're going to view these. And remember, liability is part of it too. If they're just not building up liability on guys, they're probably not going to budge as much. So that's, I think, part of the equation as to why George is still kind of just drifting in those double-digit ranges, while Denny Avdia and Jalen Johnson are still sitting there at the top.
There was one more game on tonight's 7-game slate in the NBA that I know you wanted to bring up as well. The Bucks laying 3.5, hosting the Timberwolves. Total 229.5.
Yeah, just worth noting, shorthanded Timberwolves team, and it might be a spot to back Milwaukee with Giannis out there. Anthony Edwards not going to play today. Rudy Gobert has been suspended for the game too. So those are obviously two very key role players for Minnesota. Rudy Gobert, the second choice to win Defensive Player of the Year right now at 3-1. Milwaukee with Giannis is obviously a much more improved team when he's on the court. They're one of the better teams in the NBA when he's off the court. So those non-Giannis minutes have been quite the adventure. But just worth pointing out that Milwaukee at home against a shorthanded Timberwolves team, coming off a game in which they had to come storming back. They were down 16-0 in the game against the Spurs, and then ended up winning on a last-second shot. It situationally makes some sense, especially with the absences that the Bucks will be the side here.
Okay, good stuff. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we will get into our best bets leading into the night for a variety of sports,
including
time to go. The National Hockey League. We haven't discussed that just yet. There is a 10-game card today, and there are a few games I have interest in, so we will get to that. Do want to remind you as well, while we have your attention, ProfitX is the #1 place right now if you are looking to bet any college hoops or college football player props with the national championship upon us in less than a week. They've got all players and schools in every state that ProfitX is available. And as we get closer to March Madness, the end of the college football season, take advantage of ProfitX's 20% purchase match right now. Download ProfitX, experience the future of winning. Use our promo code VSIN to get started. That's VSIN when you download ProfitX for that 20% purchase match.
A bit of trivia. I want an answer on the other side. Over the last 12 games, this player leads the NBA in scoring, steals, plus, minus, and wins.
Okay. Could it be him? Can a girl dream?
We'll find out.
We'll be right back on Money Moves.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.
Wrapping up this Tuesday edition of Money Moves, live from downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. If you missed any of the show today, want to play catch up, you can always download Money Moves wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. We are available there. Time, unfortunately, to recap the bets from last night before we look ahead to today. And was not a great day for your girl last night, unfortunately. Like I mentioned earlier, the Steelers played well enough in the first half to crush my soul and lose my Texans -1.5, and poor enough in the second half that we couldn't get the teaser home. So both of those sides do not come to fruition. And I had Dalton Schultz thinking of the tight end positional advantage against the Steelers, and that didn't work out for me either. So a tough day for your girl.
A tough day, but overall doing well. So what do we got? What are we adding?
Okay. Well, I thought you were going to do your recap too.
Okay, fine. I mean, you could have just gone with the flow, but instead we have to do this. C.J. Stroud over 11.5 rushing yards, -120. Did not get there yesterday. One rush for 0 yards for C.J.
But still doing well for you as well.
Yeah. So what do you got today?
Well, I wanted to kind of like big picture talk about the NHL card today before I get into my best bets, because we have a 10-game slate today. We've talked a lot about the condensed schedule with the Olympic break that's coming up in February, and there are a number of teams that are on the second half of back-to-backs today. The Lightning, Red Wings, Hurricanes, Canucks, Canadiens, Oilers, Stars, all of them on the second half of back-to-back. Some of these teams, like Vancouver, for example, third game in 4 days, fourth and sixth. So just as you go through, if you're looking to bet hockey today, try to, if you can, keep those rest advantages, disadvantages in the back of your head. The one game that I do feel the most like firm on a play that I like is in the Canucks Senators games. And it's two teams I know that are slumping badly, and you might wonder why I even want to watch any of this game. I don't really, but I will for the sake of us getting some goals here. Vancouver, they've dropped 7 straight, 9 of their last 10. 7 of those losses have all been on the puck line, giving up 4+ goals in all but 1. On the other side, you have an Ottawa team that's on a 4-game skid, dropping 6 of their last 8. We talked with Mike Palm on Friday about all of the off-ice drama that's going on there as well, with Linus Ullmark, who is still away from the team for personal reasons, but we did see a report today from one of those local beat reporters, Claire Hanna, who said Ullmark, currently still on the leave of absence, has been around the facility recently. He's at the rink. He skated this morning, so maybe
by himself?
Maybe, yes, by himself. You can't, as a goalie, you can't really skate by yourself. I don't know, but positives, though, that maybe he'll get back out there, although it wasn't necessarily great to begin with. I bet the over 6 in this game. More 6.5s are popping up. The 6s are juice that are out there and available, but I like that side. When teams are on skids like this, it's because defense and goaltending are typically the problem, and that is the case for both of these teams right now. Vancouver is hemorrhaging goals. This is game 5 of their 6-game road trip. The previous 4, 6 goals allowed, 5. It is every night this is happening to them. And then when you look at Ottawa in particular, their best goaltender, unavailable right now, anyone else that they have put in net has not been good. And offensively, they do tend to play a little bit better at home scoring wise. I was also looking at their special teams numbers. The power plays for both of these teams are actually pretty decent, but they are 2 of the worst kills in the National Hockey League. Vancouver 30th, Ottawa ranking 31st in that area. I see why Ottawa's a favorite. I have no interest in laying 230 on this team. I looked at the regulation price. It's still -150. Even if you're doing the puck line here, you're not getting good value on it. So the best way I thought to play this was just give me goals on both sides of this one, hopefully with teams that are having goaltending and defensive issues.
Like it. I couldn't help but notice, because I asked you guys the question, you, Jonathan Davis, at the beginning of the season, we were waiting for the expiration date on the Anaheim Ducks. That seems to have arrived.
Not going great.
They've lost 9 straight at this point. I believe the official is 0-8-1 in their last 9 games.
And now they're under 500.
Yeah.
21-21-3 is the official number that they're at right now, but they have been abysmal.
Do you have something on them? You did, right? Do you have over points, or did you have playoffs?
Playoffs.
Okay.
It's, not going great. But speaking of some of my futures, though, in good position on a couple of these, most notably, thank you, Connor McDavid, for finally scoring some goals. For anybody who missed it, so yesterday he had 2 assists in the 4-1 win against Chicago, pushed him out to 50 for the season, 80 total points. And goals-wise, he scored 6 goals in 5 of his last 6 games since the 6 goals in 5 of his last 5 games since the calendar flipped to January. So the goal scoring is finally happening. We put that future in on him to have 40 plus for the year, and we're only halfway through the season. So I like the position that we're in there. Like the position for a few things that we have in pocket for the futures market, but we'll hold off on that. I was also looking at the Lightning today, potentially. I want to see.
When they're 11th straight game?
Yeah. They're on a 6 stretch, and it's, I know, not fun to join on the bandwagon when they're at this point. Not only have they won 10 straight games, they've also won their team total over 3.5 for all of those games as well. They're on the road today, laying 142. The Penguins strung together such a nice little stretch there of wins. They've come back down to earth the last couple games, falling to Calgary and Boston, scoring just 1 goal in those games. So even on the road at that price, I think Tampa is probably the right side on this one. Just ride the hot hand. They did lose Braden Point in last night's game, so that might be a concern for some people. Not enough for me, especially considering how much time he has missed this year.
Penguins, I guess this is the cliche, a very streaky team.
Yeah.
They had lost 8 straight at one point, then they won the 6 straight and 7 out of 8.
And now they're back.
And now they're back to losing 2 straight and can't figure it out. So
yeah, I do want to give Stuart Skinner a little bit of love, though, considering how much I've hated on him throughout his time with the Edmonton Oilers. Last 4 games, .949 save percentage. He's been playing well, so I would like good things for Stuart Skinner, and sometimes maybe a change of pace or a new atmosphere could do you good. Those were the only games that I ended up firing on anything. I looked at a few, another one of the national games, Red Wings, Bruins, both teams on nice little winning stretches there.
This is the one that I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
Only because, I would assume a team like Detroit, who sits there with 60 points but a goal differential of +4, has to have an expiration date at some point too.
One would think.
They're at the top of the Atlantic right now, and look, I would assume Tampa Bay is going to overtake them at some point. Tampa Bay looks incredible, 59 points, they're +43, but this seems somewhat fraudulent for Detroit.
I think so, a little bit, and I think the start they got off to was real.
Yeah,
but that came back down to earth, and just the overall numbers when you look at things don't seem to check out for them. Meanwhile, Boston, I think that the stretch that they have had recently is a little bit more real. They struggled. They dropped, I think, what was it? Let me pull up their schedule. They dropped 6 straight, 7 of 8. Now they've rebounded, won 5 of their last 6, pounded the Rangers. I don't know if anybody saw that. They put up double digits on them in a 10-2 win the other day on Saturday. Even in that letdown spot. And this is interesting, and I don't know how you feel about this, if it's the same in basketball or not, but sometimes when a team just goes off on another one, they're a fade or a team that I don't necessarily want to buy in on to keep that going the next night. And even in a letdown spot against the Pens in that next game, they only put up 1 goal, but it was enough and they still won it. And that to me, I'm like, okay, maybe they are trending in the right direction here.
Yeah, I think you could say that. I think the inverse is true as well. We talked about this yesterday, but the Jazz, they suffer a historic loss. They lose by 55 points to the Charlotte Hornets. They go out and they win as 13-point dogs against the Cleveland Cavaliers the next time around. So I think whether it's you don't want to play on the trend or against it or whatever it is, it's also just every single game is its own entity at this point. Can I ask you, the Red Wings, so you know better about the machinations of how seasons go. The Red Wings are sitting on 60 points. They are 8 points ahead of a team that is outside of the playoff picture. They are minus 300 to make the playoffs. Is there a no?
Out.
I was going to say, is there a no they're playing?
Yeah,
plus 240.
What is the number?
I think it's 240 at last look for me. Yeah, no 240, plus 240 on the Red Wings to make the playoffs.
I need to, you know what, ask me this question again tomorrow, because I'll go through and look at their strength of schedule metrics.
We also have some hockey guests coming up this week.
Oh, we do. Yeah, Thursday's going to be a busy day.
Yeah,
we have a lot of people in town because they want to see the Toronto Maple Leafs take on the Vegas Golden Knights this weekend. So we will have our resident VSiN hockey betting expert, Jonathan Davis, on the program, as well as Nick Alberga, both live in studio. Alberga covers the Leafs really closely, Leafs Morning Take, but does a great job as a betting analyst on the league at large. So that'll be a great day on Thursday. For a huge card. Again, tomorrow we only have 4 games, so you're stuck with me, but Thursday will be good.
Will we have Austin Matthews to get over my 90.5 points for the season?
No.
Will he win MVP?
Just stop with you're just ridiculous. Do you have any best bets on the way out?
Let's see. Yes, Denver Broncos pick in this spot against the Buffalo.
Yep. No Nuggets.
Yep.
Nope.
We're going to go with the Denver Broncos here in a pick-em spot against the Buffalo Bills. I think they'll probably go off as favorites about 1.5 by the time we get to kickoff, but I think they should be favored in this game. This would take, I think, and maybe he has it in him. He's the best player, I think, individually left in the postseason right now, but Josh Allen, I don't think, has it in him to overcome this. I think this is going to be a game in which the Broncos and Sean Payton are going to scheme up a very strong running game to take on their biggest weakness. And on the flip side, It's going to be a one-man band. Davis is down, and it's Josh Allen versus the world here.
All right.
I don't know if you watched Game of Thrones, but Jon Snow in the Battle of the Bastards, when he pulls out the sword and he's taking them on, like the giant charging cavalry, I think that's Josh Allen in this game. I'll take the Broncos pick at the spot against the Buffalo Bills.
I'm all for it. Okay, yeah, I got to throw some divisional action in the account as well. But to recap for me, Ottawa, Vancouver, over 6, Lightning, money line at the Penguins coming up tonight. That's a wrap for us. Keep it locked right here, though. Follow the money coming up next with Mitch and Paul. We'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. Have a great day. Good luck with your bets.